Hey, what's going on, guys? I don't usually make Pokemon videos or videos in general, but something interesting happened yesterday on December 16th, 2019, with a 82% in favor out of 230 votes. Smogon has decided to ban Dynamaxing, and I'm not exactly for or against the ban, but I kind of wanted to go over some more objective base. I wanted to give a more objective based look as to how Dynamaxing has affected the game in the roughly 1 month that it's been around, and how the game is going to look moving forward, and how what are going to be the implications of this regarding cartridge play, VGC, showdown. So yeah, on your screen you can see. I know it's a little bit boring and it's kind of just a chart, whatever. I'll provide a link in the description below to where you can get this information. It's on just smogon.com, but I'll link it. They have other interesting stats that you can look at, but this one in particular, this is a chart of usage for Gen 8 overused in rating 1825 and above, which means this is basically the highest tier of Smogon play, of showdown play. And I kind of wanted to go over some of the usage stats and how this is going to be affected moving forward by Dynamax being banned. So the most interesting one to me and to a lot of other people is this Ditto. Ditto has a roughly almost 50% usage stat. I mean, it's getting there. It's not at 50% yet, but it's at 42. That means roughly 1 in every 3 games you're gonna, in high rating, you're gonna see a Ditto, and there's a reason for this. It's the standard set, Timid or Jolly with Choice Scarf, and what's it called again? Imposter. And the reason for this is because of the way Dynamax works. Some of the top Pokemon that you see on the usage charts, Darmanitan, Dragapult, but more specifically this one, Gyarados. And these guys are very good abusers of the Dynamax mechanics. So let's look at Gyarados, for example. The way Dynamaxing works, for anybody who hasn't played the game because of that whole Dexit situation, I completely understand why you wouldn't want to get it. But let me just explain. So the way Dynamaxing works is it doubles your Pokemon's HP for 3 turns. Your moves are also transformed into max moves, and what max moves are is generally they are higher base power and have good secondary effects. So like Gyarados, for example, his waterfall will become max geyser, which has like 130 or 140 base power, and in addition to stab, and it sets up the rain. So what Gyarados, the most common like cookie cutter Gyarados in 1v1 singles, it has like Waterfall, Power Whip, Bounce, and Dragon Dance. And so what it wants to do is and Moxie, it runs Moxie instead of Intimidate. And so what it wants to do is it wants to come in on a weaker Pokemon, or like predict a switch or whatever, set up a Dragon Dance, or just straight up kill something that's low. And it wants to Dynamax and start spamming Max Airstream. And so what Max Airstream does is probably the best max move, just because flying, it's just a really good offensive type. It's resisted only by 3, I think, types: Electric, Steel, and Rock. Yeah, only 3, and it hits everything else neutrally or super effective. And it gives a +1 in speed. So essentially what happens is every time Gyarados kills something with Max Airstream, he just gets a +1 in speed and he gets another Dragon Dance. He gets a +1 in speed and a +1 in attack off of Moxie. And it's just a big snowball. It just has a huge snowball effect where Gyarados just takes over the game. His bulk is doubled, so he just becomes incredibly hard to take down. And even being able to live quad super effective electric moves. Like he can take 1, maybe 2 from weaker mons. But yeah, he just becomes incredibly tough to deal with. And this is why Ditto's usage is so high. Ditto's used mainly to counter these kind of strategies. So if the Gyarados starts snowballing out of control, you can send in 2 of the most common walls right now are Ferrothorn and Toxapex, and actually Corviknight has much higher usage than them, and we'll cover Corviknight later. But Gyarados you'll try to stall out the Gyarados' Dynamax with either Ferrothorn or Toxapex. Protect, the way Protect works against Dynamax moves, or in Toxapex's case, Baneful Bunker. The way it works against Dynamax moves is they will hit through you just like Z moves. It works literally exactly like Z moves. They'll hit through the Protect, and they'll do reduced damage, but you'll still gain the benefit of the additional effect that the Dynamax move provides. So Ferrothorn or Toxapex will come in on the Gyarados, try to stall it out, and then you will send in your Ditto against the Gyarados and just Dynamax back and attempt to reverse sweep it after it's set up like +2 or +3 and everything, attack and defense, or speed rather. So yeah, Ditto shows us how centralizing Dynamax is to the Showdown 1v1 metagame. Ditto is literally just on teams to counter Dynamaxing. Corviknight is also a very good check to some of the most prominent Dynamax threats. Excadrill, Gyarados, Dragapult. Well, Dragapult's 50-50. A lot of Dragapults are starting to run special now because Dragapult just has a better special move pool. His attack stat is better, but his special move, it leaves a lot to be desired. He doesn't get access to any stab ghost moves except Phantom Force. Dragon Darts is good. It can break sashes and things, but it's not worth playing a physical Dragapult just to get Dragon Darts. A lot of people are also trying it mixed with Dragon Darts, which is he's seeing experimentation. Dragapult is definitely something to look out for. He's got a lot of potential. Corviknight is mainly used to check the prominent threats like Excadrill, Gyarados, just some other ones. Dracovish. Dracovish is another big one. He doesn't really like the Dynamax though, but I'll get to Dracovish later. Corviknight's mainly used to check these Pokemon just because his typing is very good. Steel Flying. I mean, we've seen Skarmory in the past. We all know Steel Flying is a very, very good defensive type. Hit only super effectively by Electric and Fire. And there's not many strong Electric or Fire types running around right now. Rotom is probably the most common one. Galarian Darmanitan is also another common one. That's literally about it. Everything else he could switch in pretty safely on about everything else. With his incredible bulk, he has really good physical defense. And if we see some of the top mons here, Darmanitan, Excadrill, Gyarados, Aegislash usually likes to play physical because it has access to Shadow Sneak. Cinderace, well, he doesn't want to get him on Cinderace. Dracovish. These are all usually Hawlucha. You see Hawlucha down here. These are all usually physical mons, which means Corviknight can switch in on and just wall them out. Corviknight also has access to Roost, being Steel Flying, obviously, and Iron Defense is a very common idea. I see a lot of people trying to set up Iron Defenses on 1v1 singles and try to stall out enemy Dynamaxes using Corviknight. Corviknight can also reverse he's also pretty unpredictable because he can be played physically offensive with Dynamaxing himself. He can turn around and max Airstream after using something like Bulk Up, just boost his speed up with max Airstream. Now all of a sudden you have a +1 attack, +1 defense, +1 speed. Corviknight staring down your team with access to fighting moves, flying moves, steel moves, and Roost to heal himself up. So Corviknight can also be a little bit unpredictable in that sense, in addition to being a tanky wall with taunt, Iron Defense, things like that. That's why Corviknight's usage is so high. So all the top, my point is a lot of these top Pokemon can either abuse or counter Dynamax, which is being removed from the metagame. I can understand why they did it. Dynamax is a pretty over-centralizing mechanic. It kind of forces you to play around the fact that your opponent's going to have a strong Dynamaxer. It's going to be very hard to predict which Pokemon is going to Dynamax. But on the other hand, they're also banning an entire generation's defining mechanic. So like last generation it was Z moves, the generation before it was Megas, which a lot of people, including myself, liked Megas. This generation is Dynamaxing. Dynamaxing doesn't seem too balanced in singles play, but I think that the Pokemon Company and Game Freak are trying to balance the game more around VGC, since that is the official sponsored format. And in VGC, it's still strong in VGC, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit more manageable because you have two Pokemon attacking one Dynamax Pokemon. You can Dynamax yourself. It's definitely more manageable. You can predict around it a little bit better. It does. It's kind of annoying because it does make some moves like Fake Out very, very much weaker. Because if you didn't know, you become immune to flinching, phasing out. You become immune to some weight-based moves like Low Kick and Heavy Slam while you're Dynamaxed. So Dynamaxing, in a sense, kind of removes. It kind of feels like an I win button, honestly, and I can tell why. I can see why people don't like it. But like it or not, it is in the game. So I am personally neither against nor for the ban. I mainly play in cartridge doubles, so VGC stuff. I mainly enjoy VGC content and VGC playing. Um, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Smogon metagame is going to evolve now that Dynamaxing has been removed. If I had to take a guess, I would say Ditto is probably going to massively drop off. Darmanitan might go. Darmanitan's kind of a coin flip. Darmanitan's strong by himself without Dynamaxing, but having the option to Dynamax on him what made him ridiculously good. Because like what he can do is lock himself to stab Icicle Crashes on things, and his attack and Icicle Crash combined with Gorilla Attack, this is just so ridiculously strong that nothing wants to take that except for these three basically: Ferrothorn, Toxapex, and Corviknight. But he has coverage for them. He can deal with all of these guys. For Corviknight and for Ferrothorn, he gets Flare Blitz. So still being a pure Ice type, he still has access to Flare Blitz though, which is what made Galarian Darmanitan very strong, is that you can lock yourself into Icicle Crash safely, knowing that if Corviknight or Ferrothorn or Toxapex switch in, they still have to play around your coverage moves. Even though they know you're locked into Icicle Crash, they still have to play around the fact that you can Dynamax and throw out a Max Flare and just kill them. Or in Toxapex's case, a Max Quake, because he does still get Earthquake. So Darmanitan's usage might drop just because he's more easily walled now. He's just more predictable. Ditto is definitely going to drop off in usage. There's no doubt in my mind Ditto is going to drop like a rock. Ditto is going to go down. I don't know by how much, but he's going to go down by a lot. Gyarados is also going to drop off in my opinion because he's running things like Bounce just to abuse Max Airstream. Like he doesn't have as much coverage for he doesn't have as many good things to deal with these prominent walls, Ferrothorn, Toxapex. The meta is going to become a little bit more defensive, it seems. Excadrill might also go down just because he can't set his own sand. Dragapult might also go down. So I think, for the most part, offensive mons are going to drop off in usage, and defensive mobs are going to go up in usage. Weakness Policy was another item that we saw being used a lot on Dynamax Pokemon. Tyranitar was a very good abuser of Weakness Policy because of Dynamax. We all know that Tyranitar has incredible base bulk. He's got like base 100 base 100 defense, base 100 special defense, and like 110 HP. He just has really good bulk. Increased by 50% in Sandstream. So Tyranitar, one of the popular items of Tyranitar was Weakness Policy, just to get +2/+2, run a mixed Tyranitar set, just take out walls, set up your own Excadrills, Sandstream. So yeah, we might see Weakness Policy drop off a little bit just because things can be one-hit KO'd a lot easier now with Dynamax gone. One of the most interesting things this is going to do is it's going to split off the Smogon metagame with the official and cartridge metagame like a lot more. I know a lot of people who follow Smogon religiously, and I also know some people who just play casually, come up with their own rules. Basically, the only rules are just it's just Battle Spot, no legendaries, no same items. It's very similar to what Battle Spot uses. So these people are it's gonna create this rift where some people are just gonna want to play Smogon rules only, but still play on the cartridges. People like seeing the nice 3D models, catching and collecting their own Pokemon. So people are gonna want to say, oh, we're gonna play, but we're playing Smogon rules, no Dynamaxing. We're just not gonna Dynamax. And I can see how I can bring in some problems with some more casual players that don't understand why a lot of people are going to be playing, and it's a lot because I know a lot of people respect Smogon and their decisions, and they're gonna wonder, oh, why can't they Dynamax when they can in the game? And Game Freak's official format of VGC allows Dynamax. Hell, they even allow Gigantamaxing in some of their Pokemon. So they're gonna be wondering why they can't Dynamax their favorite ones. And it's gonna create this dynamic. It's very very interesting dynamic we're gonna see, where some people are just not gonna. It's gonna create a split. Honestly, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Smogons has just decided they don't want to deal with Dynamaxing, and yeah, we're gonna see how that goes.